Hey, coaches, you might remember back at the GCI Coach Clinic, somebody early on in the training asked, and I think it was Becky Duell, so I'm going to pick on you, Becky, but it was a great question. The question was, how can we ask more effective, powerful questions? Is there a secret to asking great questions? The secret to asking great questions is this. There's no secret. There's never been a secret. There's no magic pill formula for asking great coaching questions. I have found through trial and error the only way to get to really powerful coaching questions is just by doing it, asking lots of questions. It's sort of like the old saying, if you want a really great idea, you've got to have lots of ideas. It takes lots of ideas to get to that one effective idea. It's the same with questions. You just got to try different things, find what works, what doesn't work. And eventually you'll find you'll have some good go-to questions in your repertoire, that these questions you just kind of bring out that you know help elicit deeper thinking on behalf of the coachee. Now, there are some things that we can learn to be more effective question askers, and sometimes you have to look at what not to do to get to what is best to do in terms of asking questions. And as we were in the coaching triads at the Coach Clinic, one thing became apparently clear. We have a love affair with asking stacked questions. Stacking questions is where you ask multiple questions in one question. And if somebody asks me stacked questions, I usually put on my smart aleck hat, which I love that hat a lot. And I'll answer, well, which of those questions do you want me to answer? It makes the point. What is it you want me to say? Because there are different questions, and there is an inherent danger, kidding aside, in stacking questions, in that, our short-term memory, the coachee is generally going to ask or answer the last of the questions that you asked of the stack questions. Whereas the problem could have been the question number 2 is the one that really would have driven home the most insight for them into their own thinking. That's the danger. So you'll miss opportunities when you stack questions. So one of the things that we can learn in terms of asking powerful questions is to make sure we ask one question and one question only. And here's what I've learned. The most effective questions are succinct, and they have an economy of words. I have found 2 of the most powerful questions you can ask each have 2 words. And we talked about one of them at the Coach Clinic. May have talked about both, but I remember one specifically. One great question to ask to really deepen the thinking of the coachee is, what else? That's it. What else? And when you ask that question and allow for the air to breathe, so to speak, for the coachee to think about what else, often that's when you can get below the surface into their thought process, help them to kind of break through maybe some of the paradigms that they have. But that's a great question to ask, to dig deeper into their thought process. What else? The second question that is really powerful, only 2 words, is what's next? You don't have to add anything to it. You don't have to qualify it. Just let it sit there in the mind of the coachee. What's next? Because, the motto of the coaching program is always forward. We're always moving the coachee forward closer to their goal. And what's next helps them prioritize, what is the most important thing I can do next to help me get to my goal? And oftentimes their priorities are out of whack. And so by asking what's next and understanding their thought process, how did they come to decision-making process, getting to that place is really helpful for you as the coach, but also the coachee, ultimately, who's the most important person, if you will, in the conversation to help them reach their goals. So those are 2 powerful questions. And believe me, you're not overdoing it if you ask those 2 questions in every single coaching conversation. That's not overdoing it at all, because they're so powerful, so insightful. Always have them in your toolbox, your coaching toolbox, to bring out in every coaching conversation. Here's one more thing to keep in mind that I've learned along the way. Still getting better at it, refining it as I go. But in terms of asking questions, obviously we always want to be asking open-ended questions, right? We teased each other relentlessly at the coach clinic when one of us would ask a closed-ended question. We would answer with yes, no, or maybe. We wouldn't throw them a lifeline. We just let them hang there and come up with the next question, right? So avoid the open or the closed-ended questions unless you're just really trying to clarify something. But in terms of open-ended questions, there is a rhythm to them in a coaching conversation. Here's what I've found. The first half of the conversation, what and how questions are best. So in the coach model that we use, our standardized model by Keith Webb in GCI Ministry Coaching, in that coach model, it would be the connect phase, the outcome, and the awareness phase, the first half of the coaching conversation. What and how questions are fantastic because they really start to get the lay of the land for the coachee. What do I need to be doing? What's working well? What's not? What are the resources I have available to me? Those types of things. So really think about the what and how questions on the front end. Now, in terms of the back end of the coaching conversation or the second half of the conversation, that's where clarifying questions are really effective, and that's where the when, the where, and the who questions get asked. When are you going to do that? Who can help you along the way? Where does that meeting need to take place? Well, those types of questions that clarify and shape and design the actions that they need to take to get them closer to their goals. So there's no real secret to asking powerful questions, but there are things that we can do together in terms of learning that will help us be more effective. So here are three things that we talked about today. Avoid stacking questions. Ask simple, succinct questions like what's next and what else. And then finally, really think through which types of questions, open-ended questions you want to ask in the rhythm of the coaching conversation. And that will help to move the coachee forward. So this is the first of, I hope, many 6-7 minute videos that we talk about the coaching conversations that you're having. And hopefully this first one is getting us off to the right start as we move forward in coaching others to reach their dreams and their destinations. So thanks, and we'll talk to you next time.